Hi, students in Philosophy 102. Wanted to create this short video to introduce our material for this week. On Friday, September 16, that's when I'm creating this video. I'm not going to be in class. I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. You can see, oh, it doesn't look good. I was hoping you could see our wet, rainy weather in the Pacific Northwest. But nonetheless, welcome. This week, today, and then beginning of next week, we're going to be looking at the problem of sin and how that impacts our sense of calling. So I would like you to read chapters 5 and 8, and I listed that under the homework section for from September 13, and that's in lieu of class today. Sometime read chapters 5 and 8 out of the book Every Good Endeavor, and then those are dealing with aspects of the fall on our work. And then there's a worksheet under the resources box on Brightspace that is about those two chapters. There's a series of quotes from the chapter following most of the headings within the chapter. And then there is 3 thought questions, reflection questions for each of those chapters. So look at those reflection questions after reading the quotes through and reflecting on the point of the chapter, and then write a short answer. I'm not looking at it a lot, and we'll review it with God's blessing on Tuesday and kind of get a better handle for that. But in the meantime, I wanted you to think about how sin impacts our sense of calling and how that really works. We've been thinking at first about creation, how God had told Adam and Eve to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it. God had created Adam and Eve in His image, and being in God's image came that blessing to be fruitful, increase in number, multiply, that is, and fill the earth and subdue it. So our work in forming culture, our work in unfolding the resources in the creation is all a part of that blessing that God gave when He created us in His image. So there's something inherently good about our work, and there's something good about what we do, no matter what it is, whether it's tending a garden, farming a field, taking care of sheep, or whether it's doing something with computers, being a computer science major, kind of develop some computer programs, or work maybe teaching art appreciation, perhaps yourself, creating and selling even art objects and things like this. All of it is of good value because it all reflects us being made in the image of God. But sin has an impact. When Adam and Eve disobeyed God, He cursed the ground because of them and said to Adam that it's going to be out of the sweat of his brow that he would till the earth. In other words, that the world itself is going to go against what God called you to do. That cultivating the earth is not going to go easy. It's going to be work. It's going to be hard. It's going to be frustrating. And that's one of the key words that I think I saw in that chapter on the impact of sin, chapter 5 especially, the frustration. Or even in chapter 8, where he talks about, there's a good conversation about Salieri and the envy he had of Mozart. And there's a play, and there's also a movie that's been developed out of the same script. The thinking into what it was like for Salieri, but frustration that happens. Things don't work together the way we want them to. Well, that's the impact of sin. Now, what we want to pay attention to is that in the Bible, sin's not a thing. Sin functions more like a leech functions. A leech gets his life by sucking the blood off of a living creature. It's like a virus. A virus, as I understand it, isn't capable of independent life. A virus infiltrates a healthy cell, and it lives within that healthy cell. And as long as it's within that healthy cell, it can maintain its life. Sin has that same sort of function. It takes what's good in God's world and it distorts it. It lives off of it. It turns a good function and abuses it and turns it against what God intended. So you'll find that people swallow lies, that mistruth can be communicated and people can believe it, and leaders can misuse and manipulate people through manipulating the truth. It happens in the church, and it happens within other forms of leadership in the world, that not telling the truth can be a way of misleading people. And the Bible even says that the devil himself is a liar, and he's been a liar since the beginning. I'm just giving an example. So what that does is it takes a good thing, a structure, or set of relationships that's intended for good, and through the distortion of the truth can use them for harm. That's how evil works, how stuff fall works. So I'd like you to reflect on that and how Keller elaborates that in chapters 5 and 8 of Every Good Endeavor. And think about what's the impact that has, and how does it show itself up in things that you're interested in, things you care about. There might be things that are built in to the way in which these relationships work, that there's a distortion that occurs in your major or in the area of study that you wish to pursue. Well, I just wanted to kind of briefly introduce you to that concept and what we're going to be looking at. How does sin manifest itself? There's no place that you say, oh, that's sin over there, so I'm going to stay away from it. I'm going to avoid sinning. I mean, there had been people that had said that government is pure evil and that it has no good purpose. And if you're going to be a godly person, stay out of that. That's all of the world. But that's not so. And we're going to reflect on this kind of stuff next week as we look further into it. Well, thanks for viewing this video. I hope you do well looking at chapters 5 and 8 from Every Good Endeavor. There's a review sheet that I've created, and it's found in the resources portion of Brightspace under the week 3 module. It's in lieu of class on September 16. And then there's the assignment. Read L. Walters, the material that was handed out in class, but you'll also find it in the resource section on the module week 3 in Brightspace. It's from Creation Regained, and he's talking about the different ideas about the kingdom of God and the danger of reductionism. So read that through, and then for Tuesday, write a paper in response to a quotation from either chapter 5 or 8 of Every Good Endeavor by Tim Keller. 150 to 200 word, interactive paper. Just respond to a quote. And that'll be due at the beginning of class on Tuesday next week. I believe the date's the 20th, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, anyways, God's blessing to you. Take care. Bye-bye.